Thank you. The League of Women Voters has been asked to moderate this forum following the League's national guidelines. My name is Mary Jane Range, and I'm a member of the League, and I'll be serving as the moderator of today's forum. The League of Women Voters, as you may know, is a nonpartisan organization. We have just celebrated our 92nd birthday, and we are almost 60 years old in Palm Beach County. The League's purpose is to promote political responsibility, good government, and voter education, and that's primarily why we're here tonight. I'd also like to mention that the League is open to both men and women, and we encourage you to join, and I think we probably have some membership forms here. I'd also like to point out that we've got a terrific new document that we just put out called the Voter's Guide that we encourage you to take. In here is all the information that you need to know about every elected official in the county, with their names and addresses and how to reach them. So we also have those up here at the front table if you'd like to take one of these. They're great to have. A special thanks tonight to all of the League members who are here helping us, ushers and timers. And we're working tonight to provide an impartial forum. And finally, a warm welcome to all of the candidates and the League's thanks for their participation tonight. We're going to do this in two groups tonight. First, we're going to do the candidates for mayor, and then we're going to do the candidates for commissioner. So, ladies and gentlemen, here are the rules because some of them apply to you too. The candidate supporters are expected to conduct themselves appropriately. We will not tolerate disruptions, and persistent disruptors will be asked to leave. I'm going to ask you now to please turn off your cell phones, and I will embarrass you if it goes off. Each of the candidates have agreed to the League guidelines. Audience questions for the candidates should be written on index cards from the ushers. If you have not received a card, please raise your hand and they'll bring one over to you with a pencil. When you're finished writing them out, please put at the top of it if your question is for a mayor or if it's for the city commissioner. When you're finished, raise your hand with the card and the ushers will pick them up. The questions will then be brought down here to League representatives. You're welcome to submit as many questions as you like. However, questions may not be directed to any one candidate. All questions can be answered by all candidates, but it's up to them whether they want to respond. Questions may be combined or restated for clarity or relevance, so your questions may not be asked exactly as you wrote it. Personal questions and attacks will be disqualified. And as I said, League representatives will review and consider each question using this criteria. The views that are expressed are those of the candidates, not of the League of Women Voters, and sponsorship of this event is not an endorsement of any one candidate. There are 4 candidates for mayor. Steve Holzman, Cliff Montrose, and Jerry Taylor are here. Sophony Lacombe called and said she was not able to attend. The term of office, as you will probably know, is for 3 years. So, in front of the candidates are timers, which are League members. Time limits will be strictly observed because we have so many candidates tonight. By necessity, we've had to limit the time for opening and closing statements and questions to allow as many questions as we can. So, candidates, you will give a 1-minute opening, and I will start with Mr. Taylor. For the questions, or the opening? Yeah.
Mr. Taylor can go first, I don't mind.
Okay. Holzman. Mr. Holzman, you'll get the first question.
First question, Mr. Taylor.
Right, I will start with opening statements with Mr. Taylor, and then we'll start with closing statements after the questions with Mr. Montrose. So each of you will give a 1-minute opening starting on, we're going to start on the left with Mr. Taylor. In the card draw, Mr. Holzman was the winner, so you'll get the first question. The other 2 candidates may answer. It's at their discretion whether they wish to or not. A candidate may rebut the answer from another candidate's answer, but that rebuttal is part of his response time. After the question segment is completed, each candidate will give a 1-minute closing statement, and in this case, the candidate on the right, Mr. Montrose, will begin. I'm sure you've got that all down, and you can come up and do this. There's never enough time to answer all of the questions, but I'm sure the candidates will stay, and they will be able to speak with you. This form is going to go on to approximately 7:40, and then we will have the commissioner's form. So, we'll start now with Mr. Taylor. You have a 1-minute opening.
Good evening, and thank you for being here this evening. I'm running for mayor again. I had been mayor in the past. 4 different times I was elected. Spent 10 years. I thought I'd turn it over to someone else, but I've been asked to get back involved. I think I have bring proven leadership and management to the position. I think I can bring dignity and professionalism to the commission. I believe that if you want people to invest in your community, you need a unified commission. People, you can disagree and argue, but you have to come to a conclusion and let investors know that the commission at the top knows what they're doing. So that's what I intend to bring to the commission. And I know that Tuesday's election, I would appreciate your vote, and I ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Where are the timers, just so I know where I'm running
Timers
at?
are here.
Great.
Show them the-
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Great. Hi, my name is Stephen Holzman, and I am also running for mayor. I'm an attorney by trade. I have been city commissioner in District 3 for the past 3 years. And this election is so very important for this city going forward. We have a great opportunity to finally move this city forward and shake off our past indiscretions and past mistakes, bad decisions, and missed opportunities. For so long, this city has always been considered the city with great potential. I hope as your mayor, I'll finally be able to make this city the city who's reached and exceeded that potential. Again, my name is Stephen Holzman, and I hope for your support on Tuesday to run for mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Holtzman. We'll move now to Mr. Montrose.
My name's Cliff Montrose. I'm here to seek your support to become your mayor of Boynton Beach. I'm a transplant from New Jersey. Spent 25, close to 30 years in active municipal and county government. I'm well equipped to step in and try to help bring Boynton Beach back to some sanity. I consider Boynton Beach the crown jewel of Palm Beach County, and there's no reason that it should be in the state it's in. When I ride down through town, all I see is vacant land, and I should be seeing business, I should see people, I should see people preparing to go up to the beach, and I see nothing. Lately I see something I don't like to see, but I'm here to do a job. I'm going to give you an honest effort, and I want the people to get the city back. The people of Boynton need a better seat at the table. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now move to the first question. I believe Mr. Holzman won the card draw.
Yeah, thank you.
In your opinion, and this question is the same for all candidates should you choose to answer. In your opinion, what is the one thing that could be done to improve the economic environment of the city?
Okay, perfect. That's a great question. I think it's very important for the city to, look at the economic situation that we're in. Strewn lots throughout Federal Highway, open land just right here down the street. One of the things that I'm looking to do is really specifically as it relates to downtown, because I think that's the one area that we really need to focus on and redevelop, and hopefully that will act as a kind of explosion to continued development throughout the city. I'd like to codify our downtown master plan. We continuously refer to this plan as something that has, the guide of what we want our city to look like, yet we never use it. I think it's important that we take a look at the plan, which we spend time and money to put together with the citizens' input, and take that plan and codify it within our zoning ordinance so that we all know what we're looking for and what we hope to be our downtown. That way, when developers and investors come to our town, they know what to expect. Not just what to expect for the piece of land they're looking at, but what to expect from all the other development
Mr. Holzman,
around
your
them.
time's up. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Montrose, do you care to respond to this question?
Yes, I would. Credibility, folks. Credibility. That's what Boynton needs. If we can get rid of this impression that people have of Boynton Beach for the past couple of years, we will have that business move in. But Right now, people hesitate, business people hesitate. They read all these bad things in the paper, and they don't want to get involved. So it's credibility we need, and I know we can do it with some good, fine leadership. We have some excellent people coming in, going into the different districts. They have good ideas, and they seem like very nice people. I'm proud of them. The way they've handled themselves this campaign, there hasn't been any nastiness, which seems to be the trend here in Florida. But I think the people of Boynton see a commission
Mr. Montrose, your
coming
time is up.
commission coming in that's going to be a bunch
Mr.
of
Montrose,
nice people.
Mr. Montrose, your time is up. Mr. Taylor.
Thank you. Economic development requires hand-on work. I worked with Mr. Comparato to bring in the Renaissance on Congress Avenue. I worked with the similar corporation that brought in Target and Best Buy. I'm currently working with the man that owns the property where the American Bank was tore down, working him to get that developed. I got developers that are interested in looking at the vacant land across from Hurricane Alley. I go out and meet these guys, I take them around the town, I show them where we got available land and what it's going to take to make it happen. That means you got to be on the job daily, bringing people in and showing your interest. It takes somebody that's willing to go out and put in the time. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move to the second question, and it will go to Mr. Taylor first. Over 40, and this question comes from the audience. Over 40 municipalities in Florida have serious pension issues. What are the pension realities for this city, and what are your plans to deal with it?
The pensions that we are studying currently is, we're not underfunded. We invest the money, and if the investment doesn't pay back, we guarantee like an 8% gain every year. If it doesn't come in the stock market, then the city has to make that up. We need to look at that. We need to see if that's the case. I think we need to, what I would do if I'm mayor, is I'm going to immediately bring in professionals to look at what's happening around the country as far as pensions. We need to get our hands on that. We need to go to the people that really know what they're talking about and not just get a bunch of hearsay input. Pensions is something the city needs to really look at and get a hold of, and I intend to do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Taylor. Mr. Holzman.
Well, I think the $130 million unfunded pension obligation with this city has currently is a noose around its neck. If we really want economic development, we really want to move this city forward, we need to get a handle of the pension situation. We need to work with our collective bargaining units, and we need to bring them to the table and make them understand that unless we can bring this unfunded pension obligation down, we all lose. We are paying $14 million a year to keep our pensions afloat, and that unfunded pension obligation continues to rise. This is unsustainable. We need to have people at the table who understand finance, accounting, and really can talk to our labor unions and get them to come to the table so that they also understand that for the future of this city, for the future of your money, we rein in that $130 million unfunded pension obligation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Montrose.
Can't pick up a newspaper any day. You don't see some people complaining about the overpaid people working for government. They'll name firemen, they'll name police, they'll name workers. To control the pension fund, we have to have money to feed into it. Now, we can't let people just go off the job at age 55, 65, and then get a full pay, almost a full pay pension. We can't afford that. I think that anybody that works for government, he should contribute to it. I had to contribute to my pension for the 30 years I worked, a certain percentage. I didn't get a free pension when I retired, and I think that's wrong, and I think it should be corrected. Thank you.
I'd just like to remind the audience that if you submit a question, please put at the top of the card whether your question is for the mayor or for the commissioners. Thank you. Next question, and this one starts with Mr. Holzman. Mr. Montrose. Mr. Montrose, how do you feel about preserving the remaining green spaces that exist in Boynton Beach? Is conservation of the environment important to you?
Well, that's a good subject. One of my favorite phrases when I was very active in municipal government was no overutilization of the land. I am a strong opponent of variances. I'm a strong opponent of catering to development and making deals so that they can move in. Too many people spend too many hours serving on boards to create our zoning laws, our planning laws, development laws, all the rest. They sit there, they spend a lot of time. And then some developer comes in, oh, he's got this grandiose idea, well, we're going to make $1 million, and he gets a couple of variances. The place sits around, and 2 years later, he sells it. He made a profit of $2 or $3 million.
Mr. Montrose, your time is up, I'm sorry. Mr. Taylor, do you need me to repeat the question?
No, I understand it.
Okay.
I am a very strong supporter of environmental and green space. I believe in green space. It needs to be preserved, it needs to be planned for, and it needs to be brought to reality. I think if you look in the Renaissance Commons, the different areas we have in there of green area and ponds and things, I was instrumental in making the preserve behind the promenade building in the downtown area. That's a preserve that will never be built on. I believe that we need to plan that. Any new environment coming in, I want to see walkways. I want to be pedestrian walkways with green areas around. And that happens at the planning stage. When people come in to build, you need to make it happen at that time. So I'm a proponent of that, and I would work very hard to make that happen.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Mr. Holzman.
Yeah, I think I kind of live and breathe conservation. My wife is the assistant director for the Center for Ecosystem Science and Policy at the University of Miami. I drive a hybrid. Actually, my wife drives a hybrid as well. So I understand the need for us to conserve our green spaces, as well as ensuring that development in the future is allowed, but at the same time takes into consideration the need for those green spaces, as well as any sort of environmentally friendly development that we can have, because we don't want to curb development, but at the same time we want to have smart development, and that's what I bring to the table.
Thank you very much. Mr. Montrose? Oh, you, okay, it's a new question.
I go.
Okay, this is a new question, and we'll start with Mr. Taylor. Oh, Mr. Well, okay, Mr. Holzman.
Whoever ends.
Right. What is your opinion of the use of variances when zoning requires one thing and the developer is demanding something else?
Well, I think that's a great question. I think this goes perfectly with where we are sitting here. We're at Leisureeville and the 2007 decision to grant a height variance without the use of a site plan or any legal reason to grant that variance. It is imperative that as a board, we ensure that the granting of variances are done only when legally necessary, not simply because someone says I can make more money in this property if I'm able to build another single higher floor. If you look around town, you can see variances have been given within this town without regard to those effects of the citizens. Look at Marina Village. Look at the Promenade. Look at the marina down on the east side of the city. Look right here with this hotel that's going to be built. It is very imperative that we stick to the planning and zoning guidelines and only provide a variance when legally necessary.
Thank you. Mr. Montrose.
Well, I think I touched on it a few minutes ago, but variances usually, what the developer wants to do is use up as much of the piece of property that he can. The more building you put on it, the more money the building for it, so forth. And I see some examples in Boynton Beach. We talk about the promenade. The promenade is built right out to the sidewalk. Now, anyone coming down Route 1 and approaching Boynton Beach, they see the promenade. Oh, look at that, very nice building there, condos. They'd like to stop, but there's no place to stop. There's no place to park. And that kind of zoning is wrong. If you're going to build something, we have front yard setback requirements, we have side yard setback requirements, and if you want to improve the environment, then stop covering it up with concrete. Enforce these sideline setbacks and...
Mr. Montrose, I'm sorry your time is up. Mr. Taylor.
Since it was brought up about the hotel at Leisureville, I can tell you back in 2007 when the commission granted the height variance, the Palm Beach Post went back and checked the minutes. At that meeting, there was more people there from Leisureville asking the commission to give them the height variance. And they also found out that the developer offered them $24,000 in addition when the hotel was built to do whatever they wanted with their clubhouse or whatever. So that's why the most people, the commission is the voice of the people, and that's what the people wanted. The people now do not want it. I have 1,300 people on record saying they don't want it, and if that's what the people don't want, that's the vote they get from Jerry Taylor. I don't think that's any place for a hotel. I'm completely opposed to it. I also know that the current commission gave a variance to put a church in the Boynton Mall. I don't believe that's where a church goes. I was against that, but somehow that commission thought you go there. I'm not against churches, but I think your retail space should be saved for the tax base it's supposed to be.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Only on when it's your turn to answer, you can rebut at that point, but it's part of your time, Mr. Montrose, and you get the next question. What will you do? Oh, question goes to Mr.
No, it's Mr. Taylor.
No, he just answered the last one. He was last. You were first, second, third. Then it goes to Mr. Montrose. Are you ready? Okay. What will you do to curb excessive costs of police and fire union contracts?
Would you repeat that?
Yes. What will you do to curb excessive costs of police and fire union contracts?
Well, I don't want to curb the police and firemen's effort. And I want them to have a fair salary equal to their job. I think a study, I think I read something in the paper recently. Someone mentioned about getting a survey throughout the country of various salaries in comparable cities. And that would be very easy to do, salaries and the way their pensions work. And I think a good comprehensive study along that line could tell us an awful lot. And I think the police and firemen do an excellent job, but and I think they're reasonable people, and they would go along.
Thank you. Mr. Taylor.
The police and fire have not had an increase in 3 years. I think that we have a very educated police force and a very educated fire department. Many of them have college degrees, and they do a great job. But we need to deal with them on an adult-to-adult basis. That's why the fire and the police support me, because I sit down with them man to man and tell them, here's what the city has, here's what you're asking for, what can we do to make it fair to all parties? That's how you have to deal nowadays. You have to talk to them right up front and be fair and across the board, and I think at this time that's the way we're at.
Mr. Holzman.
Thank you. This is a great question. For the past 3 years, I've always advocated on your behalf when it came to negotiating contracts with our police and fire. In particular, we need to curb our costs as it relates to our medical benefits. Currently, we pay 100% of premiums for all employees, including fire and police. Their pensions are out of whack with society. And at the same time, their use of overtime is something that needs to be looked at. Currently, at my behest and pressure, we are now looking at the policing and how we police our city, how we use our overtime, and whether or not we can curb the use of overtime by our police. I think we need to do the same thing with our fire to ensure that the costs to you are reasonable, but at the same time, our services are still high. You know, we can do this. We have a very great opportunity right now as all of our labor unions are at the table, and I think it takes a strong voice to sit down and ensure that your interests, not their interests, are looked out for in this next labor union contract.
Thank you. New question. We'll start with Mr. Taylor, and here it is. Boynton has given away much of its potential commercial property to non-tax-paying non-profits. What would you do to increase Boynton's tax base?
Well, that kind of touches on what I just mentioned. They gave the church in the retail space, which would have been a tax base for us. It's no longer that. When Quantum Park first came in, I held the line all the time I was mayor. That was our tax base. That's where we were going to bring in commercial tax base. I would not allow housing in there because that was not a strong tax base. The man, Mr. McDonald, to this day will not talk to me because I didn't allow him that. When I went out of office, the next mayor in opened that up, and now you see all the homes in there, which was supposed to be our tax base of the future. So we have to be very careful now to control what we have left and make sure that that's not given away to non-taxing entities.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Mr. Holtzman. Yes, sir.
I think it's vitally important that we ensure the tax base on the commercial side so that the citizens, are not the ones who are bearing the burden of the increased costs of running the city on a daily basis. I've been the lone voice on the commission for the last 3 years voting against variances and spot zoning for organizations that do not pay taxes within the city. And in fact, at my behest, the city did a study that said that over the past years, we've given away so much of our tax-paying commercial properties that currently we have roughly the same number of commercial parcels as does the city of Lake Worth, a city half our size. We need to get back those commercial properties. We need to ensure that our commercial properties that we have now are not given to non-taxable entities, because if we do, the only people we can go and ask for more money from is you.
Mr. Montrose.
Yeah, you hit a spot. This is one of the reasons I'm up here running for mayor. I've heard this time and time again over the years since I moved here from Jersey, and giving our land away. You and I own that land. These commissioners don't own that land. What right do they have to give away our land? I don't understand that. Shouldn't they ask us, we got this piece of property, we're going to do this and we can benefit that, and ask us, shouldn't they ask us since we own it? Shouldn't we say yes or no? But no, we just gave away the high school. You know what that piece of property is worth? After this guy fixed it up, it could be worth millions. And I don't know if he's going to keep it or not. Maybe 3 years from now he'll sell it to a developer and put in condos. But I hope there's a clause in the contract that they gave the high school land away.
Mr. Montrose, your time is up.
I hope
Mr. Montrose
can get it back.
Mr. Montrose, thank you. You do. Next question. Major companies often use written communications as their sole means of communication. Do you believe the use of written communication supports, and quote, government in the sunshine, close quote, as required by law?
Yeah, I think this is a great question. I think the only way to ensure that you know what's going on with your commissioners in your cities is to request that everything is done email. Conversations done behind closed doors with developers and staff members are outside of the sunshine. But emails are the only way for you to ensure that you know what's going on a daily basis, that deals aren't cut, and that we can always ensure that when an email is used, that the Sunshine Law is always taken to heart and transparency in government is ensured.
Thank you very much. We're going to go to Mr. Montrose now.
Yeah, would you repeat that question?
Absolutely. Major companies often use written communications as their sole means of communication. Do you believe the use of written communication supports, quote, government in the sunshine, closed quote, as required by law?
I believe that the public should be informed any way that is possible. I'm proposing, and I have during my campaign, that all of the commission meetings be televised. Now, I want people to know exactly what's going on at the meetings. You don't have to run out there in the middle of spend half the night sitting through a meeting if you can stay home and watch the meetings and get informed. And information to the public is the most important thing. If we don't know what's going on, we can be very easily taken down the wrong road. And I hope that the new commission seriously thinks about televising all meetings from the day they take office. Thank you very much.
Mr. Taylor, same question.
Yes, I'm not quite sure what they're referring to as written communications, like it's something that's done just between a commissioner and the corporation.
I think they're referring to email communications.
Okay, well, I have no problem with email communication. I think that's what everybody does today. But I will tell you, I have no problem either with face-to-face communication. I don't believe that there's any behind-the-scenes deal. If I'm talking to a developer, that's me. I'm one person. I'm only one vote. That developer has to talk to all the commissioners. And any written communication comes in through my mailbox, that's public record. The public has the right to any of that they want. So I'm open to releasing any kind of information from corporations. I think the public needs to know about it. They need to know what's happening, and they need to be able to voice their position on that to the commissioner. I'm open to any form of communication they want to use. I don't have a problem with emails at all.
Thank you. Next question, this one we're going to start with Mr. Montrose. What are your views and intentions for preserving and protecting the historical buildings in our city for our heritage?
Well, I'm in favor of that, of course. We have the Women's Club, which is used quite often, and I was hoping that maybe the old high school might fall into that category, but somehow it's been led astray. But I think that we have a historical committee. We have a gentleman who's running that. It's very good when it comes to that area. And he's been working hard. I read about it in the papers. And I'm all for any effort made to preserve historical buildings for the benefit of the people. Thank you.
Mr. Taylor? Yep.
I served as president of the Historical Preservation Board for Palm Beach County for a year, and I served on that board for 3 or 4 years. I'm very much in favor of historical preservation. I think the Women's Club is probably the most historical building we have in Boynton Beach. People bring up the old high school, and they said to me, well, you want to tear it down, you don't want to preserve it. I said, no, tell me who's got the $7 million to preserve it, and I'll be for it 100%. You won't find that. I don't think the taxpayer should have to pay to preserve it. I think if we got a person that wants to come in, we've looked at several of them, they keep walking away. But, you know, when I ask them, well, why is that historical? And they say, well, it's an old building. And I say, well, I'm old too, but I'm not historical. You know, so, like I say, if somebody wants to bring in with the money, I'll support them 100%, but the taxpayer shouldn't have to carry that load.
Mr. Hulsman.
Thank you. First, my first foray into any sort of political situation within this city was my serving on the Historical Preservation Board. I'm also a member of the Historical Society. As Mr. Taylor alluded to, the 1927 high school is a historical building. We actually just put it as a landmark within our city at the last meeting. So that is a historical building, and it has been my chief concern, or one of my chief concerns, since I've been elected, to ensure that we continue that 1927 historical building is there, and we do have a developer who is going to redevelop that building with no taxpayer dollars. So everything seems to be going the right way as it relates to that 1927 building. I want to make sure that as we continue throughout the next 3 years, we're putting more buildings onto our historical preservation landmarks, and we're ensuring that we are not tearing down buildings just to build new buildings, but ensuring the history of the city.
Thank you. The next question, and we'll start with Mr. Taylor. Will you attend city functions as an ambassador for the city? How will you represent Boynton Beach?
Just before I answer that, I want to say my fellow opponent here just said that high school is going to be observed with no money from the taxpayer. Yet on the last 2 meetings ago, he voted $60,000 to $100,000 of taxpayer money to offset the permit fees that this developer is talking about. So he is asking for taxpayer money. As far as an ambassador to the city, I intend to always come in a professional manner. Although I've not been in office for the last 3 years, I've attended every city commission meeting and every CRA meeting, so I know what's going on. I think I present a good image for the city. I talk about the great things that Boynton has to offer, and I intend to continue to do that. I think I have a past history of that, and I will stand behind that.
Thank you very much. And now we'll go to Mr. Hulsman.
Yeah, over the past 3 years, I've kind of shown myself as a great member of this community serving the city. In fact, I am the only remaining individual who sits on that board in their elected position. So I think I've been a real ambassador for the city because I'm the only one who kind of stayed above the fray, as it may. As it goes forward, and in the past, you know, all neighborhood meetings where I've been called and people have asked questions, I've always been there to ensure that their questions are answered and their problems have been taken care of as quickly as possible with the help of our wonderful staff. So, you know, I think I've done a great job over the last 3 years and hope to do another great job for the next 3 years.
Thank you very much, Mr. Montrose.
When I first came here, I looked at Boynton Beach. It was a quaint little town. The marina was there, Two Georges was there, fishing boats were there. It was a great place just to go down and walk around. There were restaurants along the road. Once a week we went to the Dolphins. A lot of you folks probably remember the Dolphins. Wonderful restaurant. We had a number of good things. Now, you ride downtown and all you see is vacant land. I see Promenade. They have paper and glass in the windows. Does that present a good image? We have to get rid of those, especially that eyesore. I see the mayor's here. I hope we do something about that. But we should. I preach Boynton Beach constantly to everybody, but I have such a hard time convincing them when they come down to visit. They say, "Yeah, okay, thanks, Cliff. We'll be back next year."
Mr. Montrose, thank you very much. And the final question, gentlemen, and we're going to start with Mr. Holzman. What is your vision for the future of Boynton Beach?
Well, I think that one of the best things about this question is that a lot of this has been answered by you, the citizens, through charrettes and through conversations over how you see the downtown looking. But I think the most important thing that we can do up here to serve you is to ensure that we portray a professional Boynton Beach. And we ensure that those commission meetings that you need to attend to ensure that things are happening that you want to happen are welcoming, and that you feel that you can come and tell us what you feel. You don't feel threatened by the nonsense that's out there right now. So I think my most important goal and where I see us moving in 3 years as your next mayor is into a professional city that actually cares about the citizens' business and not the nonsense that's been all over the news recently.
Thank you. Mr. Montrose, what is your vision for the future of Boynton Beach?
My vision is a town hall. It's a town commission. It's a mayor that has a desk in the town hall. Right now, you want to go down and say, "I'd like to see the mayor." I don't know where he sits. I don't know if he has an office or a desk. I don't think. I think they have a little room, but you can't get in and find out unless you have a pass. It's time we opened up some doors. We need public participation. Last Tuesday night at the agenda, I realized we have 26 vacancies on the volunteer boards, and people are resigning every day. Nobody wants to help. Everybody has gotten fed up with. I don't know the whole reason, but it's just happening, and it gets worse every day, and that has to be turned around. I will.
Thank you, Mr. Montrose.
Thank you. You got to help us, folks.
Mr. Taylor.
I would like to see Boynton Beach kind of stay with the small town climate that we're used to, but I want to see friendly shops, little mom and pop shops on the downtown, maybe along Ocean Avenue, maybe two-story shops going up Ocean Avenue from Federal to Seacrest with little maybe balconies on the second floor where you could sit out and have coffee and a sandwich while everybody shops down below. I think that we need a safe environment. We need to make sure that our people can walk around, not feel threatened or feel afraid to walk out at night. That's important to me. So I think that Boynton has a lot to offer, but we need to be unique. We do not to be a Delray Beach or some other city. We need to be Boynton Beach and be unique and have our own things like downtown. We need activity downtown, something for people to come to and spend some time once they get there. So that's my vision.
Thank you. Thank you very much, gentlemen. This concludes the question portion. We are now going to move to the final portion, which is closing statements. Mr. Taylor began with opening statements. Mr. Montrose will begin with closing statements, and you have 1 minute.
First, I'd like to go back to the mayor's comments about the hotel on Ocean Drive. He said he had a small turnout at a meeting when it was first discussed, and yet the people in the Leisureville area now tell us there was no notices sent out. They were unaware that it was even happening. So that's my response to that comment. But I think that Boynton Beach can come back. I'm sure Boynton Beach can come back. The people are out there. We have a lot of good people here at Boynton, educated, smart. They want to help, but they're not going to help if they're not encouraged to help. They're not going to help if they spend all their time and then they give their opinion and it's just sort of fluffed off, and we'll do it our way. We know the best. We know all the answers.
Mr.
I want
Montrose,
people.
your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you
Just
very
help.
much.
Again, I say help us out, folks.
Mr. Taylor.
I would just like to tell you that I know how to do this job. I've done it before. When I was mayor before, we bought and built a senior center. I started the COP program in all the communities. I just know how to get these things done. I got the state to pay for all the medians on Federal Highway, not a cost to any of us. So I've been there, I've done it, and I know how to do it again. I raised our reserve fund up to $24 million while I was mayor. And that's what we need to do. If we want the goodies, the things that the city can provide, you have to have the money to do it. And the way you do that is to have the reserve fund there to help you. And I intend to do it again. I'd appreciate your support on the 12th. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Mr. Holtzman.
Oh, great. Well, first, thank you so much for having this. Thank you for coming. Just real quick, the reserve fund that Mr. Taylor talks about was an $8 million budget deficit when he left office. Where that money went, I'm not exactly sure. But I can tell you that we have a keen opportunity here to either take a step back or take a step into the future. And I want to be the candidate that takes Boynton Beach into the future. I'm Stephen Holzman. I hope to see you on Tuesday. Thank you very much.
Thank you all very much.